Yo, 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 welcome to another episode of Vic Cook. Today, I'm going to be making Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. Now, a disclaimer, this is my version of a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, so I don't want anybody from Philly, trying to pull authenticity rank over me. It's just my version of a meat beef sandwich that we're just going to slap together with some veggies and a bunch of cheese, of course. So, this is how I do it. So, the first thing I do is get all my ingredients together. I have my steak. I have a couple leftover rolls. They're just the long rolls. I probably should have got the Italian bread, but I couldn't find it. And I got some cheeses that were just in my fridge, some Velveeta. Got some mushrooms, and I have about 1.5 bell pepper. I would like 2, but I'm working with what I got. And I got 2 onions. I might only use 1.5. And then I got some seasonings. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put this in the freezer. Because when it's frozen, it's easier to slice really thin. If I try to slice this now, it's going to get all mushy and it moves too much. So I just need a nice solid piece of meat to easily cut it. And you can use ribeye. That's my favorite, but I decided to go the cheap way today. I just use a chuck eye roast. I got a lot more beef for my money. So I'm just going to throw this in the freezer. And it doesn't have to get solid frozen, but as long as it, we'll say about maybe 20, 30 minutes, I'll go check on it. In the meantime, I'm going to start dicing up my veggies. So, actually, yeah, let me put that down. And what I like about making a sandwich is you really don't have to worry about cutting all the pieces evenly, as long as they're just small. Because then when you cook it, it's going to soften up and it's going to reduce down anyway. So the main part is we're just going to cut these into nice small little chunks. We're going to do the same for the bell pepper. And we're going to do the same. We're looking for the same sizes for the bell pepper, onions, and the mushrooms as well. So while I'm doing this, my meat's in the freezer. And then I'm pretty much just dicing my veggies just to get it going. So that way I can do multiple things at once. And then once I'm finished with my veggies, I'm going to work on the cheese sauce, which I'll show you guys how I'm going to do my version of it. Very similar to how I make macaroni, which is I'm going to have a video of that coming soon. But just for now, we're just going to dice up. And I like to have it kind of even. So, so this is the amount of bell peppers I have working with. So I'm going to try to make sure I have about equal portions of it. So, and this looks nice. It's not too thin, but it's not too thick. But we can always cut it up smaller if we wanted to. All right, perfect. Now for the onion. So for the onion, go right down the center. I'm going to take off this outer layer. So we'll put that there. Cut off this little stem because we don't need that. And then we'll just do the same for the other half. Yeah, and once you get all the veggies, it's going to smell real nice in the kitchen and everything. But the main point is, just make sure you get your nice chopped veggies. If you want, you can do a little garlic in there too. I'm not, because I don't feel like having garlic today. And that's just the method I use, or many people use, to just dice up the onion so it's really nice and fine. Then you got nice little small pieces. And right now it looks like enough onion to match the bell pepper. So I'm not gonna add any more. I'm not gonna add any more onions. So this onion I'm gonna put back away. And then for my mushrooms, just gonna dump the rest in there. And then we'll just now, I don't need the mushrooms to be quite as small because mushrooms shrink a lot when as you're cooking them. So there we go. We got the dogs in the background. They're going crazy over the sandwiches. I might give them a little piece of the beef once it's finished. Alright, so that's the end of that. So I got my mushrooms, my onions, and my bell pepper. Next, I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to go over to the stove, and then I'm going to show you guys the cheese sauce I'm going to make. I'm mostly going to go with some mozzarella, cheddar, and a little bit of Velveeta, but you'll see how I do is I want it really cheesy and meaty. So we'll pause this, and we'll be back shortly. Alrighty, so we're back now. I got the dogs calm, veggies in the refrigerator, meats in the freezer. Right now I'm just gonna work on my cheese sauce. So this is similar to how I do my my macaroni and cheese. But anyway, I like to make a nice little cheese sauce to go right over the beef sandwich. So what I do is I just cut a little chunk of this Velveeta. It melts really nicely. It's very soft, so we'll go ahead and put that in there. And of course, we're going to add some milk. And that's pretty much it. So you can actually just throw that on there and melt it. You'll have a nice, decent cheese sauce. But I like to spice things up a bit. So I'm just going to take some butter. We'll go maybe about that much. There we go. So about that much butter. It doesn't really matter. And the thing about it is, like, I'll add it as I see fit. But just a little bit of butter in there. And then I got some of this leftover 3-state cheddar cheese. We're going to go ahead and add that in there. I'm also going to add some mild cheddar cheese. So we'll go with we'll say about halfway. There we go. So it's about half of this cheese. Now I should probably shred this. It'll be a lot easier to melt. But it's going to be a while, so I'm going to cook this over low heat, give it a chance to actually break down slowly and mix. So we'll add some of this cheddar in there as well. And then we got some mozzarella cheese. We're going to add a lot of that in there. And then we have some more Fiesta blend. It's got Monterey Jack cheddar, queso, and asadero cheese. We'll go ahead and add that in there as well. You can add whatever cheese you want. So right here I got some milk, butter, cheese, a lot of dairy in here. And I like to make sure I got enough milk in there to make it really nice and soupy. So this is how it looks. I'm just gonna take this, put it right on the stove on low heat. So actually, let me pause. Actually, we'll bring this over now. So yeah, we'll take this. We're gonna put this right. I'm gonna put it on the back burner on low heat, and then I'm gonna look for my cover, and then I'll try to cover that. In the meantime, I got my fork. I'm just gonna use this to stir it every so often, but I don't want it to burn the bottom, so I'm gonna make sure I monitor it. But if I put this on low heat, that'll be fine. It can actually sit like that. It's gonna sit like that for a while, and by the time my meat finishes freezing, and I'll come over here to this cast iron, and then we'll get I'll show you how to cut the beef next, and then we'll start assembling and make our Philly sandwiches. All right, we're back. So it's been some time, and I'm looking at my cheese sauce, and it's pretty nice. So it's really thick, as you can see. Look at that. So that's perfect. I kind of want it a little bit more looser, so I might add some more milk to it. But for now, I mean, I'll give it a couple tastes. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna cut it off, and then I could reheat it later because I don't want it to burn while I'm focusing on the steak. So it's been some time now. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut up my steak. So I'm gonna Alrighty, so we'll just go ahead and just slice this thing on up. I took it out the freezer. It's a little hard. It's got some frost to it, so that's pretty good. It should cut easily now. Alrighty, and then I'm not going for any certain fanciness, but I like to go straight across the most if I can. It's actually kind of thick, so yeah, we'll start here. And this part is a little bit less frozen than the others, so it is going to give me a little challenge. But we got nice thin cuts of beef. And then the more frozen it is, as long as it's not a solid ice chunk of beef, you can work with it. And there we go. And you can use any cut of meat you want. If you want to use Philly cheese, if you want to use ribeye, I recommend ribeye. That's my favorite go-to. But the last time I did this, I used one ribeye steak, and I think I made a good 4 sandwiches, but it was kind of gone really fast. So hopefully this is enough to where I can make some nice, thick, meaty sandwiches, and not have to run out, a day later, or not have to run out by the next meal. So yeah, we got this little piece here. We'll just cut that. I'll put that to the side now. Yeah, see, it's getting kind of a little rough to cut on this end because it's not as frozen, but that's all right. If you got a sharp knife, you can make it work. The main thing is you want, it doesn't have to be paper thin, but you do want it thin because, it's a steak sandwich and all. If you want to dice it up and make chunks, you can do that too. But, I like it a little bit thinner. There we go. We'll go this way with it, see how that goes. So pretty much this is it. We're just turning the beef, and this is why I got my cheese like on off right now, because depending on how long this takes me, this could take a lot of time, and I don't want it to burn my cheese in the background. So I'm gonna finish slicing this up as thin as I can, and we'll have a couple of chunks in there. Like that's a nice little bite-sized chunk. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish slicing this up, and then I'll show you the end product when I'm done. Alright, so we're finally done with this. We got our beautiful assortment of thinly sliced meat. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump some seasonings on here. Of course, I'm going to go with some black pepper. Can't go wrong with some chili powder. And then garlic powder. And then I have some of this complete seasonings, like basically your typical everything in one type of deal, with not too much salt in there. And then of course some black pepper. And then I'm gonna actually add a little bit of Merlot salt. I love Merlot salt on red beef. It adds a little bit of sweetness to it too. All right, so that's it. So now we're gonna go over to the cast iron, and we'll have everything set up. So what I did with my cheese sauce, I added a little bit more milk to it, and another little tablespoon of butter. My cast iron skillet, it's got a couple pieces of bacon from earlier. That's all right. So we're just gonna go ahead and cut this. I Actually, we'll rotate this. There we go. So we'll put my cast iron on medium here, and then I'm gonna cut my cheese sauce on low, just so it has time to heat up and everything. And yeah, so I'm gonna let this heat up, and then I'll be back while I get my veggies together. All right, I'm just gonna add a little bit of olive oil to the pan, and yeah, so we're gonna get started. So got my cheese sauce. I'm gonna constantly keep stirring this and checking on it just to make sure it's nice and delicious and not getting too lumpy. But as you can see, we got a nice beautiful consistency here. It's a little bit thick. It's thinner, but it still has some of those blobs in there. So we'll just let that sit, and then yeah, so like little chunks like that, I want that to be completely melted. So let go. All right. So now we got our cast iron. I feel it kind of hot. There we go. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put our meat on here, and you can cook it on high, or you can cook it on medium, or you can cook it on low. It's up to you. I'm gonna try to go for a little high because I do want a little sear on some of these pieces. And yeah, so we'll just put our meat in there. Actually, we can just dump all this in there. There we go. And then as I'm dumping it, I'm gonna spread this around. Now you can make this on a roll, or you can put this over some fries or over some nachos. You can stuff it in an omelet if you want to. Whatever you want to do, you can do it with your cuts of beef. But I would say definitely leave it in the refrigerator or leave it in the freezer for longer than I did, so that way you can cut it a little bit better. I got impatient, I got hungry, so that's what happened in my case. But you don't have to make the same mistake I did. So what we'll do, and then as we're doing this, we're just gonna add some more fresh peppercorn to it. And this is a lot of meat in here, so this will be good. So make sure I cut this on high. I'm actually cut this back burner on too. There we go. And you don't have to add too much oil to this pan, because like these little pieces of fat, once it cooks, it's going to break down. It's going to create a lot of juice, which is what you definitely want in a Philly cheesesteak. And now the thinner you cut these pieces, the faster it's going to cook. So yeah, there's that. But already it's smelling really nice in here. Really good. As you see, it's coming together slowly. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And then of course we're going to add some more peppercorn. There we go. Yeah, it smells really nice. Really good smells we got going on here. And these are about nice little medium-sized chunks. My sandwich is going to be a little bit more chunkier, but that's all right. If you want it thinly sliced, just have the patience, like I didn't have. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, now we got a lot of these pieces. They're like medium well to well done. And you could actually take it and plate it just like this if you want to. If you still like a little pink on your steak. But for Philly cheesesteaks, I do them well done. I will eat a couple of pieces though. That's just to try it out. There we go. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more chili powder. And a little bit more of this sazon. And then I'm also going to add the rest of this ground mustard. I don't have that much in here, but just so I can get rid of it, I'll just go ahead and add the rest of that on there. Alrighty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the back burner off, and I'm going to put my heat to medium because the steak's pretty much done. So now what I want to do is I want to get my veggies in here. So I got my onions, bell pepper, and mushrooms. I put a little bit of black pepper on here, and we'll just throw that right on top of the meat there. We're gonna make sure we get every last piece in here. So it took me a while to chop all this up, and I don't intend to leave any of these pieces behind. That's good. Alright, so now we got our veggies in here, and now I'm just gonna mix this around. And I usually like to cook my meat first all the way. You can cook it kind of halfway-ish and then throw the veggies in there. But I don't, it depends. If you want your vegetables to be really broken down and really soft, you can. If you want them a little bit crunchier, you can do that too. So it just depends on the texture you want. But if you cook your meat well done, at least you know your meat's good, and then you can just stop it whenever your vegetables are to your liking. That's the best way to do it. So actually, we'll cut this up medium high-ish. So now I'm gonna check on my cheese, and my cheese looks nice. See, every once in a while I'll still find these little lumps in here that hasn't really melted down yet. But the rest of the cheese sauce looks like it's pretty good. We'll go ahead and give that a taste. There we go. It's pretty good, pretty good. I'm gonna add, I still taste a little bitteriness from the cheddars, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some butter, and then we'll add some more milk to it to kind of balance out and make it a little bit more creamy. It's pretty much a consistency thing, and also because I added a lot of cheddar, I'm going to add some mozzarella to it, just to make it a little bit more creamier, maybe a little bit more lighter. And then, of course, we'll add some milk, because I want like a nice soupy cheese sauce. There we go. And we'll actually cut this, we'll cut it on a little higher, just so it'll melt a little bit. But yeah, this is a nice, beautiful consistency that I like. Because then when you pour it over your sandwich, it's gonna like, you know, kind of mix in with the meat a little bit. Beautiful. There we go. Delicious. More seasoning. Chili powder. And it's just like the final touches. I'm just adding just a little bit more last minute stuff to it. So I'm adding some black pepper. I added some onion powder. I'll use this sometimes when I'm too lazy to grind my own black peppercorns like this. But you could do either or, it's up to you. I'll use both. I'll go back and forth. Alrighty. Alright, so that's that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna, ooh, that's hot. Alright. So I'm gonna move this over here, and I'm gonna cut. We'll cut the back burner off on here, and we'll cut this on. I'm gonna leave this on medium over here, and I'm gonna put my cheese sauce. I'll cut this off for now. Put my cheese sauce right here, just so I can keep a better eye on it. There we go. So yeah, it's nice, beautiful consistency. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my other cast iron, and I kind of cleaned this out beforehand so it's nice and smooth, not too much residue in there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this on high, and we're gonna go ahead and melt some butter. And then what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna toast my bun, because I like when the bun's toasted. It gives it a little extra flavor to it. It kind of, I don't know, who doesn't like a toasted bun? So, all right, so just got a little bit of butter in there. There we go. I'm just moving that around just to make sure the butter melts. And we are almost done. So I'm gonna take my roll, and I'm gonna open it up slowly. I don't want this to break too much. I don't want it to break apart and fall apart, but I'm just gonna make sure that it's flat. So when I put it on there, like so, I'm gonna rub it around in the butter, and then we'll just leave it like that, let that get toasted. Now I'm gonna come back over here to my meat. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Actually, we'll switch these just so you can see what's going on here. All right, yeah, there we go. So we got nice, beautiful meat. We got a nice little, some juice in the bottom of this, which is perfect. And it smells really good. As you see, the steam's falling off it. Now, there's a couple pieces in here that's just all fat. You can throw that out now. I'm going to leave this in here, actually, because it's just going to melt down and add more flavor. But you don't want to add that to your sandwich unless you really like that fat gooiness. I don't, personally. So we got our Phillies. And like I said, this is good. You can put this on any kind of bread that you want. You can even put it on over some nachos or some fries. It's just beautifulness. Very delicious. Or I wonder if you could probably actually throw this over some rice and eat it like so. Let me go ahead and try me a little sample piece. Very soft, very good. It's not as soft as the ribeye, but if you cook it longer, it'll soften up. But it's very chewy. Tastes like a steak to me. Tastes like a nice Philly cheesesteak. All right, so now I'm gonna check on my bun. Yeah, we got a nice little toast on it, but I'm gonna get a little bit more toastier. I'm going to check on my cheese sauce. Cheese sauce looks good. It's got a ways to go. There's still some pieces in here that I see, but for the most part, I can pour some on my sandwich for what I got here. So we'll definitely do that. I do love the consistency of it. Now, some people put lettuce on their Philly cheesesteaks. I don't. I'm just gonna load it up with the meat and pour some cheese over it and call it a day. So let me check on my brine. So yeah, there we go. That's perfect. That's perfect. I could get it more if I wanted to, but we'll leave it like that for now. And now it's time to plate it up. So here's how I'm gonna plate it up. I'm gonna put that right there. And then I'm gonna take my, there, I'm gonna try to get some of these pieces over here that's sitting in that sauce. Or actually, before I do that, whoops, forgot to I like a little mayo on my cheesesteak. Not too much though, because you really don't need it. But where's my other mayo? Okay, here we go. We'll go with this. So yeah, I got my mayo. What I do is I just like to, there we go, just a little bit of that. And now we will add our meats. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of this smaller stuff from the side over here that's got all the juice and everything. And you can load this up as little or as least that you want it. It's no really wrong way to do a Philly sandwich. So I'm just gonna put a little bit. There we go, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna cut this off. And now I'm gonna go to my cheese sauce. I'm gonna use this little ladle here. And then we'll just pour that right over there just like that. Beautiful. Alrighty, so that's it, Philly cheesesteak, and then we will close it the best way we can. And I probably added too much cheese, but as you see, it's running all over the place. But this is the end result of my Philly cheesesteak. I'm gonna go ahead and give me a nice beer to go with this and plate it up a little bit better. But yeah, I'll just hang tight for a minute. All right, so we got the final result right here. I kind of put on a different plate, but it's still messy. It's sloppy. It's a Philly cheesesteak. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm gonna go ahead and dig into this, and to pair it with it, I got me a nice Chicago-style IPA. Yeah, and I'm gonna dig in. But thanks for tuning in for another episode of Vic Cook, and yeah, until next time.